You know what's crazy to me is that African Americans are so estranged from their homeland country. It's not that it's super strange because obviously 4 or 5 generations ago we were stripped from our land. A lot of people can say, oh, you guys were sold, you were stolen, da 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 da. Long story short, we're in America and we didn't choose to be here. I'm sure we haven't. Because the way that they've been treating Black Americans in America for the past 4 or 5 generations has been anything less than inhumane. Anyways, I digress. My husband and I decided to stop that cycle. We decided to go back home. And yes, for generations, beginning the first 1, 2, 3 generations, America had to be their home without their own consent. But now that this generation, the 5th generation coming up in this Americanized way of living, we're realizing, hey, we don't have to be slaves anymore. We can go back home. And whatever home means to you could be, hey, I'm not working a 9 to 5. I'm pursuing my passion. I'm going to do things outside of the norm of slave mentality. I'm breaking generational curses. I'm no longer going to whoop my children. I'm no longer going to kick my children out at the age of 18, for example. Those are generational curses. There's going to be a Black father in the household, or I'm going to have a family with a Black person. Needless to say, my husband and I already broke a lot of generational curses. We are the unicorn family that I never really see, like, ever. And we decided that we're going to keep breaking them. We're moving to Africa, Kenya, Nairobi, to be exact. Nairobi is a city in Kenya, and Africa, of course, is the whole beautiful motherland, the continent. Our first step is Nairobi in Kenya. We're going to explore around there, and I will take you guys on this beautiful journey with me. And just letting you know, I'm not perfect. I am very goofy. I'm a cornball. I get off topic very quickly. But I know that this message needs to be heard to the masses. As many people as willing as I'm able to give it, I hope y'all receive it well. As I'm walking around aimlessly thinking about all these thoughts and the fact that I'm actually going back to my homeland, to the motherland, it's so surreal to me. It's crazy to me too that everybody wants to visit all these other beautiful countries and continents and they never want to go to Africa. I wonder why that is. Well, we're going to dissect that more as we journey on back home. See you soon.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, Africans. I hope you are faring well where you are. Well, they say that when the roots are deep, there's no need to fear the wind, right? You see, in the quiet strength of this African proverb, Black Americans have long carried in their bones the yearning for rootedness, for a place where the wind does not constantly shake the branches of their dignity, security, and dreams. You see, Black Americans have long been moving to Africa, but there's a season that this movement has escalated. It has boomed, you know. It has boomed that the world has been, the attention of the world has been attracted, you know. And so, one of the countries that Black Americans have been moving to, like Ghana, we have South Africa, we have Rwanda, we have Guinea, right? We have Burkina Faso, right? So lately, there's been a huge trend of Black Americans moving to Kenya. I personally have Black Americans friends here in Kenya. Some of them we've worked along, some of them I have hosted, some of them I have visited, right? So it is a whole network that I'm seeing of Black Americans moving to Kenya and creating a community, a peaceful one. And you know what? I'm so much excited when I look at this, you know. I'm so much excited that the brothers and the sisters, right, and the godfathers and the godmothers have all come and they have found unity in themselves here in Kenya, you know, here in Africa, free from all that rubbish, all that racism, all that colorism, all that police brutality that happens in the USA. In Africa, we accept Black Americans as they are. we don't see a Black American, we see a brother and we see a sister, right? So I want us to dive into a series of video, a video whereby the Black Americans are sharing their experience of living in Africa, you see, and leaving USA for Africa. Now let's dive into this video and then let's listen to them.
More and more Black Americans are packing their bags and choosing Africa, especially Kenya, as their new home. They say they're tired of police brutality, racism, and the political tension back in the USA. And under President Trump, many say they feel unsafe, unheard, and disconnected. But here in Africa, they are finding something that they have been missing for generations: peace, belonging, and a sense of spiritual home.
Right now I'm in Kenya. I decided to relocate for some time. Honestly, this is one of those like crazy faith type of seasons I'm in where I've kind of left everything behind back home in the States and decided to come here to get to know myself and get to know the plans that God has for me at a deeper level without the distractions of being in a hustle culture in a Western.
I believe that we all have our own journey and our own calling, and so for me, my journey called me here. It was something that I wrestled with for a little bit, though. I did, because I'm like, well, dang, how do I continue to work in the U.S. and still be about Pan-Africanism? So I realized, well, two things could be true. You can be a Black nationalist, which only exists in the U.S., and you could be a Pan-African. And so for me, that connective tissue just made sense for me to be here. And so, yeah, the short answer is yes, I definitely believe I was called to be here. Hello, welcome to my home here in Nairobi, Kenya. My name is Kia Wakesho Simmons. Come on in. All right, so as I said before, we're here.
We are all Black women who left America and moved to Africa. We are living in paradise. God is good.
Text without believing how they said you're supposed to believe it. And I think that's the problem. We're throwing out the baby with the bathwater. But if you look at those
if you're speaking about like comedic texts and things of that nature, fine. But I'm saying this whole Bible,
but it comes from the comedic text.
Everybody,
because if you understand, and see, that's why I can say that, because
There has been a growing number of African Americans who have relocated to Kenya. And as a Kenyan, I am asking myself why. What is so good about Kenya that some of these African Americans would choose Kenya over West Africa? Because we can date the African American ancestry back to West Africa during the transatlantic trade. We had Africans who migrated to the Americas as slaves working in the sugar plantations. So why East Africa, why Kenya, yet most of them can't date back their roots there? And one of the things that came to mind was that it's not about money. Not about money. It has to be something else. If it's about money, then it's about the investments that they have here in Kenya. But why choose to relocate? Why choose Kenya? Why choose to reside in a different country that is different from your ancestry? Or rather, there's a high probability that it's different from your roots. And one of the many things that came up is infrastructure. Yes, most of the African Americans are preferring Kenya to other African countries in East Africa, in West Africa, because we have better infrastructure. But wait a minute. As a Kenyan, you might ask yourself, which infrastructure are we talking about? Which roads are we talking about? So first, let's understand where most of these African Americans are choosing to reside in Kenya. And some of the neighborhoods are Kilimani, Lavington, Karen, Runda, Westlands, and some coastal areas like Malindi. Of course, there are others, but you can see that these are posh neighborhoods. Allow me to say that. These are neighborhoods that don't have an issue with infrastructure. So when you're saying roads, they definitely have better roads than the roads that we have in Nyeri, in other parts of the country. Let's say Mlolongo, Kitengela, you get what I mean. These areas have better infrastructure, have better amenities, and they're in the suburbs. There's proximity to the Nairobi city. So this is the ideal destination. And when we say that, yes, they have better infrastructure, it's true. It's true. I was having a conversation with someone who got a chance to go to West Africa, to Togo, Benin, Ivory Coast. And when he came back, he told me, or he told us, who were in that group, that Kenya, we are better off. We are better off in terms of infrastructure, because even the airports that they have, you can't compare that to our airport. Now, that was a while back. I don't know how these airports look like, but from somebody who has had an experience of being in Kenya and going there and getting to notice these things, and also in terms of the cities that we have, at least we have skyscrapers. At least we have them. At least we have a robust metropolitan city, which when you compare that to other African countries, we are better off. We are better off. When we are doing this comparison, we are not comparing Kenya to first world countries like the US or Germany, because of course we will fall short of that. So we are comparing Kenya to other African countries, region like Sudan, Rwanda, Uganda, and we're also comparing ourselves to other West African countries like Nigeria. And so we are still better off in as much as we demand better relative to our neighbors, not relative to first world countries and second world countries. The other thing that came up is that we have affordable, quality standard of living. Again, remember, what neighborhoods am I talking about? I'm talking about Kilimani. I'm talking about Runda. I'm talking about Lavington. So when you compare that to other African countries, we are better off. We are better off. I was watching a video from one of the African Americans who have located to Uganda, and he was talking about how if he had a chance to redo the decision that he made, he would consider coming to Kenya over going to Uganda because of how affordable it is. Now, affordable is relative. Affordable is relative because now we are comparing how much you are paying in the US, for example, or let's say you are a British African, how much you're paying in Britain to what you're paying here in Kenya. I was looking up rent for a one-bedroom apartment in the US, and on average, it's around 1,600 USD. It can go to as high as 7,000 USD depending on the city that you live in. For example, there are expensive cities like New York. Now, think about what 1,600 USD can get you here in Kenya. So he was talking about how the apartments here in Kenya give you access to the gym, give you access to a swimming pool, which when you compare that to Uganda and also other countries, we are giving them a better deal. And also in terms of them paying the rent abroad and coming to Kenya. For example, remember when I told you that for them, it's not an income problem. It's not an income problem because for some of them, they are digital nomads. They can work from wherever they want to. So they get paid in USD, but they come and spend it here in Kenya in Kenyan shillings. Or think about it this way. Let's assume that you're a Kenyan. This is a real life scenario because there are people who work for companies that are abroad. They get paid in USD, but they still live in Kenya, right? So you're working from home. If you had that opportunity where you get paid in USD, for example, you're paid 6,000 USD or even 4,000 USD or even 2,000 USD, and you live here in Kenya, it's cheaper. It's cheaper because the cost of living here in Kenya is relatively cheaper. Now, with regard to that, there's something else that you might overlook that outsiders find attractive about Kenya, which is we have better quality internet connection. Yes, we do. I had a conversation with a Kenyan who lives in Germany, and he was telling me that the internet connection here in Kenya is better than in Germany. I don't know if that is true. If it's true, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments if you live in Germany. But with all honesty, internet connection is important. In fact, better, high-quality internet connection is good for an economy. Even think about Kenya becoming one of those tech-savvy countries in Africa. We have
tech innovations here in Africa, and even something that you might easily overlook, like doing digital payments, you using M-Pesa to make payments. That is a bonus. That is a bonus because for an outsider, they can easily track how their money is flowing. They can easily make payments. They can easily do that, which we as Kenyans might easily take advantage of. We don't see that as a bonus. We have African countries that are not digitized as much as we are. We are a tech-savvy nation, and internet plays an important role in that. This other reason, you might not believe it, but it's true. We have peace and stability in Kenya. Yes, we have issues in terms of insecurity. We still have issues in terms of political instability, like the climate is not that nice, but relative to our neighbors, we are doing better off. Think about these other countries that are politically unstable. Think about Somalia. Think about Sudan. When you compare that to Kenya, like for us, the issues that we have, they are just a drop in the ocean. I was even having a conversation with a lady, an Ethiopian lady. She came here to Kenya to visit her friend, and we were having a conversation, and she was telling me that the reason why Kenya is a good place, in as much as she's been here only for 2 days, is that there is that climate of stability. Like,
I'm speaking of Black people, but really this could be applicable to anybody. And I'm saying this at a time where a lot of Americans are starting to think about leaving America. A lot already have, but especially right now, more people are starting to think about leaving. And I am begging you to leave capitalism here. America isn't just bad because of racism. I know that racism might be the thing that you feel the most tangibly. Racism is an arm of capitalism, which came from colonialism. Leave capitalism here. If you're leaving, leave to start new. I'm specifically looking at African Americans who are moving to African countries. And I'm just seeing colonists. We've got to understand what it is. We've got to call a spade a spade. It doesn't make you better because you're Black. We cannot just move in droves with no desire to connect to the countries we're moving to, just with the purpose to extract, just build for ourselves. You want to move to build a business for yourself. You want to move to invest for yourself. You're not moving to invest in the country. You're not moving to invest in the community there. You're moving to invest for yourself. What do we call that? We see that on a domestic level in the United States. I just moved back to Atlanta. I grew up around Atlanta. I'd always wanted to come back, and I came back to find that, like, the culture is being sucked out of here. Don't even get me started on the economy. I mean, people move here with no care about what was here before at all. And I know y'all have had to see that in other parts of America. So I'm not understanding how you can move to these other countries and do the same thing. Like, I'm already seeing videos about all this dissent from Ghanaians and Kenyans who are talking about how the American migrants there have, like, caused the economy to jump ×4. I need us to be critical, okay? This has to be bigger than you. Like, this has to be building a better world. Like, you can only aspire to be what the colonizers were. You can't think outside of that. You can't aspire bigger to that. And look, honestly, imagining a new world is hard. But I promise you, the countries that you move to, somebody's thought about it. Plug into what's there. Please, if you're looking at migrate with intention, and with the intention to connect to the community there. Instead of asking, like, what business can I start? What needs to be done there? Like, how can you bring your skills? Don't just become a new extractor. I can't get down with that. I don't want to be grouped in with y'all. Come on. And then it's like, that road leads to nowhere. Capitalism eats itself. In the United States, we're witnessing late stage capitalism. That's what we're leaving. So you want to just go and create the whole cycle. You want to just go start the cycle in a whole new country. And it's okay because you look like them.
Be a projected 30,000 new Black Americans plus that are going to be moving to Kenya and parts of East Africa, West Africa, Southern Africa, and things of that nature. So I think that with that being said, a lot of laws should change that can actually rectify and help, more so help Black Americans with becoming citizens of different parts of Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, South Africa, Nigeria, you name it. You know what I'm saying? Because Black Americans, they offer something that most Africans need, which is job security. You see, if a Black American is coming to Kenya making over $100,000 a year, they can start a business within a year. They can start a restaurant that hires 30 to 40 or 50 Kenyans. You see what I'm saying? This is the new movement. And let's talk about number 3, social status. Many Black Americans have a dynamic social status. They have clout, which means they're from a rich country. They're able to, like I said, travel again. They're able to do things that the average person can't do. Like, for instance, could the average, South African, the average Kenyan go to Dubai for a month and just chill?
As an American who just moved to Kenya, something I'm getting used to is time here is a suggestion. When you say you want to meet someone, even if it's something serious, you say 4, they hear 7. I'm used to, being late. I'm used to, in the US, Black people were late all the time, but not for like business meetings or like, here, Kenyans, you take it to a whole new level. And I'm Kenyan still. I was born here. Lakini I haven't lived here as an adult.
I made the move to Nairobi. Flew direct from JFK. The flight was close to 15 hours. I did wear compression socks, which changed everything for me. I got up pretty frequently to stretch. Someone from my host organization came and picked me up from the airport. She brought me to my apartment that I'm sharing with one of the other fellows. We went to eat, got some Indian food. Babes wanted me to go meet people at the office. I said that can wait. Yeah, that can wait after I've slept. My body is really sore and tired and exhausted. Unfortunately, I have a couple of days to get settled before I start working. So my first mission is to purchase a yoga mat. Follow along, tell a friend that we in Nairobi, y'all. Check the link in my IO for my newsletter. And I'll be sharing my journey as an American living in Nairobi here on TikTok.
As long as you don't come here with that American arrogant bullshit, like, oh, in America we do this, in America we do that, with that type of shit, you'll get treated fantastically. As long as you come humbly and cool and don't carry that American arrogancy, Kenyans will treat you right.
So after clearly watching these videos and listening to our brothers and sisters, here's my deep critical analysis. You see, I'm not saying this because Kenya is my country. I want you to understand that I have long advocated for Black Americans in Ghana, in South Africa, those other countries I have in the past, right? So speaking for Kenya, I'm speaking from what I've seen. I'm speaking from experience, See, Nairobi is a city. Nairobi now is the capital of Kenya. It is a city where blackness is not questioned. It is not debated. It is not weaponized or defended. You see, in Nairobi, Kenya, blackness is the default terrain upon which society is built. You see, a person melts down into the crowd without explaining themselves, without performing resilience, without guarding their humanity against a system that interrogates it daily. In Nairobi, identity is not a battlefield. It is a homecoming. Wow. Streets are filled with faces that mirror your own, you see. The president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, once said that in Africa, we don't see a Senegalese walking the streets. We don't see a Nigerian. We don't see a Gambian. We don't see a Kenyan. What we see is an African, right? Because when a Senegalese is walking the streets, how will you tell this is a Senegalese? How will you tell? If they don't speak Senegalese as a language, how will you tell? That's a question, So you blend in, you become one with the society. That's a huge advantage of moving in Africa, Kenya, See, the streets are filled with faces that mirror your own, with a rhythm that matches the pulse of a continent that has endured, expanded, and imagined itself anew, You see, for many Black Americans, stepping into Nairobi feels like stepping into a world where they do not have to shrink or armor up to exist. You see, there is also relief of a slower hostility in Africa, Nairobi. See, Nairobi is not a paradise. No, it ain't. But it has its challenges. Traffic jams are there. We have economic inequalities in some places, and political tensions very much rampant in Africa, Kenya. You see? But all this is not burdened by the centuries-old machinery of anti-blackness that shapes the American life. See, in the US, Black success is often met with suspicion. You see, it's met with Black pain and with denial, you see? And Black life with systemic disruption. In Nairobi, Kenya, Black resilience and ambition blend seamlessly into the social fabric. See, the air is freer. A person can breathe differently. By person, Black American breathes differently, you know? And economically as well, because a brother touched on the economic side, Nairobi is the beating heart of East Africa, a metropolis where innovation grows like acacia trees after the rains. Tech companies rise from the ground. International organizations plant their headquarters, and young people, artists, designers, programmers, filmmakers, you see, they shape a creative economy with global reach. For Black Americans who seek new markets, new careers, or even a place to invest and build generational wealth, Nairobi holds open doors. The cost of living, though rising, is still gentler than many American cities. Entrepreneurship is not only welcomed, it is part of the culture, you know. Land, business opportunity, and creative collaboration have offered pathways that feel less barricaded by systemic discrimination. There is also a deep psychological nourishment of being surrounded by African culture, not as something placed behind museum glass or taught in fragments, but as a living, breathing ecosystem. Food that tastes like history, music that is both prayer and celebration, a spiritual ecology that recognizes ancestors, values community, and believes that life is richer when shared. For Black Americans whose lineage has been torn, interrupted, or obscured, Kenya provides a chance to build the bridge between the past and the present. Even without the exact village or ethnic group, one can find healing simply by being in a land where Black life stretches back thousands of years without an apology. You see, they say that if you want to heal, get away from the place that caused the harm. If you get away from that, you heal very quick, you know. You see, Nairobi's diversity is also quite its strength. Among the 40 plus ethnic communities in Nairobi, each with its own stories, language, and customs. Myself, I'm a Nilot. I come from the Nilotic subgroup of Luo. You see, we are Luo Nilots who followed the River Nile up to the source. We were following the Nile up to the source. So we came all the way from Sudan. So we are River Lake Nilots, right? And we have so many other tribes. So this builds a colorful spectrum. It broadens the horizons, right? It is not a monoculture. It is a multicultural society. There is boredom when it comes to mono, but there is plenty, there is happiness, there is excitement, you see, when there is an array of things you can learn from. See, Black Americans can often find a mirrored experience, complex identity, layered history, and a refusal to be defined by colonial shadows. This diversity creates space for belonging without pressure. No one expects you to be African enough. You are welcomed as you are, allowed to form your own version of home. You see? And yet, perhaps the most powerful reason is the emotional one, the kind that peace comes from walking through a city where children laugh freely, where strangers call you sister or brother without hesitation, you see, where you do not feel hyper-visible or invisible, but simply human. The peace of hearing birds in Karura Forest, for instance, I've been there at at dawn, you know, or watching the sunset beyond the Ngong Hills, or feeling the warmth of ordinary kindness from a border rider, a fruit seller, or a black neighbor. An African, not black, an African neighbor. You see, this video is not to argue, you know, that black Americans must abandon USA. No, I'm not also going to pretend that Nairobi can erase the traumas of the black people. Instead, I want us to look at this. Nairobi offers a vision, a second home, an alternative horizon as well. A place where black Americans can rebuild, recharge, and rediscover their global identity. Nairobi is not perfect, guys. It really ain't. But it is alive with the kind of hope that grows in places not yet crushed by the weight of radical history. For those black Americans who seek belonging, opportunity, and a return to a soil that recognizes them, Nairobi stands as a reminder of the proverb, when the roots are deep, the wind does not make you tremble. Here, the roots can grow deeper, your black roots, and the winds, though strong, no longer have the power to uproot the soul. Wow, that is such a powerful, powerful statement, you know. So guys, I advocate, and I seriously advocate, that you move to Africa. Does not have to be Kenya, but move to Africa, a place where you will have less stress and more chances of living. If you're stopped by the police, chances are you'll live there alive. It's not like America or Africa, even though it has its challenges, it's much easier as compared to USA. Yes. Share with me your thoughts, what you think about this video. I'd really love to hear what you have to say.